Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, and this is not kind of like how to video anything. It's just an update to finish off the year and tell you my plans, what happened to the cars, what new I have, and just the plans for the new year. Unfortunately, the life kind of got in the way, and I dropped the ball, and I haven't filmed anything. The last video that I was planning to release on the IS200 seals repair, unfortunately I lost the footage, and yeah, it's a history now. There's nothing much to show. I mean, I finished the Lexus, I welded the seals. There were a few things that would have been nice to actually put on YouTube for anyone who would want to do the same job, but overall it's a relatively straightforward process, and this is the picture of how it turned out. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I kind of lost interest in the Lexus, and I sold it a couple of months ago. Yeah, I guess that's an end of a chapter of, well, just me working on Japanese cars. I kind of like sort of decided to switch to BMWs. I know some of you came to this channel to, I know, watch the 350Z, which I mean went up in flames, and other Jap cars, but yeah, I don't know, like they just, I mean, the JDM cars become so expensive, and Lexus is a nice car, it's a nice looking car, but it's an absolutely gutless piece of crap, to be honest. No offense to anyone who owns Lexus. I would love to buy another one with a different engine. Anything but 1G. 1G is an awful engine. I'm sorry. So where I'm at right now and what the plans are. So basically, I sold the Lexus. I bought myself a car, a daily car that I would want to modify. It's Honda Jazz. It is what it is. It's another Japanese car. I don't think I'm gonna be filming that. There's nothing to film. It's a boring 1.3 Honda Jazz. And again, for anyone who owns Honda Jazz, it's a nice car. It's a lovely car, but I really didn't want a daily that I would want to modify, so I'm just gonna drive it. It's a nice little runaround car. On the fun part, as I said, I'm going to be focusing more on the BMWs, and there's going to be a lot more BMW content. Apologies for people who wanted to watch more Japanese stuff, but it is what it is, as I'm kind of like moving away from JDM, at least for now. I don't know, maybe I'll get something else in the future, but right now what we have is this E46. You probably saw an episode or two of it, me just drinking with it, but for the most part it's your bone stock E46. I replaced the front control arms. Front end is relatively new-ish, new brake pads, new discs. It's sitting on coilovers. I put a remapped ECU, again nothing too fancy, it's just race limiter. Removed what's called the EWS, sort of the immobilizer in BMWs. Yeah, other than that, it's still pretty much stock. I have my welded diff here lying around waiting for its turn to go in, but as you could spot in the background, this is a new project car, a very much project car. Bought it about 4 months ago. It's kind of like one of those impulses, kind of like, if you're a car guy, you know what I mean. But basically, I was bidding on this car on Copa, and I put like a very, very low bid. Like I thought it would never go through, but it did, and I'm like, okay. The initial thing that was wrong with this car, it was like front end damage. So the front bumper bonnet. Actually, bonnet is sitting here. I already installed the new bonnet. It's not that bad. It's got a small dent in here. The disadvantage, or I guess an advantage of this car, it's the front end is pretty much the entire front end is aluminium, so it's really hard to repair. I think it's still possible to repair, so it's gonna go for sale for a few £100, which is a bargain for pretty much undamaged bonnet, which is massive. Like, it's about, I don't know if you can tell, but it's massive. It's a massive bonnet. Yeah, so the front damage, it was Cat-N. The front, well, the headlights were smashed. The front bumper is kind of mangled. I mean, it's repairable, but I don't know if I will find a new one, but I thought, why not? It was a really cheap car. It was an on-runner. I knew it was an on-runner, but I thought maybe a pyro fuse went off. On these cars, it's quite a common thing. On a collision, the pyro fuse just blows. You cannot start it, and basically you cannot get to the boot. There's a small trick I'll show you how to get to the boot area, because there is no keyhole and there's no, at least I know in the US they make them with sort of like safety release mechanism on the inside. On the European cars, however, they do not do them anywhere. So I mean, you can see the latch here, but that's as far, and you can see the kind of the shape. I don't know if it's possible to see on camera, but this is where the release kind of like lever would have been on a different car, but I think it might be, I think I might retrofit it later just for whatever safety reasons, but or I'd say convenience reason. Is if your battery goes flat, there is no way to get inside the boot, and the battery is inside the boot trunk for your American friends, for my American friends and subscribers. Yeah, so it's a bit of it's a bit of a faff to get it started, but I thought maybe it's something easy. But come on guys, I'm not that lucky. I never get that lucky with cars. So when I get the car and try to start it, which I did start it, it was misfiring like crazy. I like weird. I replaced the spark plugs. I've done everything. Was still misfiring. So like, okay, compression test. Cylinder 2, 0 compression. Like, okay, not a good sign. So I decided to remove the under tray. Well, just to see what's wrong with the car, and it was like absolutely soaked in oil, like no exaggeration. It's still kind of like it's sitting under the car and it's still completely covered in oil. Like, not the greatest sign. So when I dropped down the tray, this is what I found. So this is the con rod from, I still kind of like missing a piece here. You can tell it's not that short. It should be somewhere about yay big. Missing the centerpiece. Yeah, this thing is supposed to be inside the engine, not outside. So there's a massive hole in the block of the engine. I guess the good side is like the N20 engine, kind of like made of two halves. So it's not the cylinder block that was damaged. It's like the lower bottom that you can mount. It's sort of like a girdle that holds the crank. That was damaged. I don't think it's repairable. I might give a go. As you can see, I started removing things simply because I found a replacement engine. It's sitting right here. Yeah, and I got myself a bargain. Usually these engines, they go for 3.5, 4 grand. I found a nice deal but no guarantees. So I don't know if the engine is good-ish, but at least there are no holes. I've checked the pistons are moving up and down, so everything is connected. Potentially there might be a rod knock on it, but as I said, I got it very, very cheap. The worst case, we're gonna rebuild one of the engines and put it back on. Why I got this car, as I said, it was very, very cheap, and I always wanted a Z4 E89. I really, really liked how, still do, how the car looks. I think it looks amazing. It's a bit of a biggish car, heavy-ish car. I don't know if you can tell, and I don't want to open the garage door because it's raining, England. But it's pretty much as big as E46, like dimension-wise. It's a big car, which is nice. Inside, oh, I didn't show you what's inside. Yeah, the car was remapped at some point by I have no idea how to read this, but apparently it was remapped at 42,500 miles. I don't know what this number means, but if anyone knows who this might be, who did this remap, that would be awesome. But the good sign is that with this remap, the car, well, the engine lasted for another 50,000 miles. So I guess it's not too bad. Yeah, so as I said, I got myself another project car. Really didn't want it. Kind of wanted it, but not with that many issues. So I never thought it would be that big of a job, like getting a new engine. The downside of this engine from an automatic car, again Z4, these engines come in many BMWs, like F series, I think I don't remember the code letter for the 2 series, but lots of 2 series, F series, X series. It's a very common engine, really expensive for what it is, but it's an interesting engine. It's a 4-cylinder, turbocharged, and I have a soft spot for 4-cylinder engines, so it would be nice to play around with it, see what's doable. I think in the States, they get about 400 wheel on stock internals, which is very decent. But yeah, overall the platform is quite nice. I think I'll stick with it for now. I have lots of ideas for the new year, and we will be working on E46 as well. It's gonna be more of a drift car, I think, but I want to build a nice drift car. I want to put the over fenders again. Not a necessity, but I've got a few dings here and there on this side, which kinda annoying. I know you can't even see the camera. I mean, maybe from this angle you can see, like, there's a dent here, there's a bit of a dent here, and you might ask, why, Alex? It's gonna be a drift car, why bother? I just want to have a nice car, even if I smash it and something. I mean, I just want a nice car, and I think E46 is, at least here in the UK, they have a bad rap of basically being a missile car. I understand they're quite cheap and people don't really care about them, but on the other side, I think it's a nice platform, and it would be cool to just have a nice car. So I think in the new year we're gonna be building 2 cars. We're probably gonna start with this one, simply because I want to have it running and driving even without the headlights. The headlights are freaking expensive, like stupidly expensive, but we'll try to find them next year. So the major goal for January, I think, is to remove the blown engine, put the new engine in. We'll need to swap the clutch, the flywheel, put it on this engine. As far as I was told, this is about 60,000 miles something. It's a full shebang, comes with pretty much everything, including the turbo, which, I mean, for the price that I paid for it. And I'm gonna include the entire breakdown of prices of everything, like how much I paid for the car, the auction fees, the engine, the bonnet. The bonnet I actually got from the same guy that I bought the engine from, which was a nice deal. Hopefully, as I said, the engine runs. But yeah, it's a nice project. If the engine is again blown and requires a rebuild, I was toying around with the idea of swapping a V8 in it, but it's a different story, different budget. I think mechanically wise, it's not a big job, honestly, but the electrics, because it's got the power steering rack, might be a bit fiddly. I'm not that good with the electrical bits, but we'll see. It's a long-term project, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's all in terms of plans for the next year. As I said, sorry for the lack of updates. Life gets in the way. And again, apologies for the lack of content on the JDM side. As I said, I'm probably going to be focusing more on BMWs. Nice platform, still relatively affordable, at least in this country. I would like to do more stuff on a newish BMWs, like even E60, like a nice big sedan would have been an interesting project. But I want a manual. I want ideally an E60 with, I'm still new to the BMW engines, but I think it's M54M for Michael. It's the oldish engines, like same engine as in your E46, E39, like basically your bulletproof 3-liter engine. It's the early year of E60 production. Yeah, would have been nice to find that engine. Well, a car with that engine and manual. Yeah, I just love how the E60 looks. But on the other hand, I still, yeah, too many cars. Too many cars, not enough money. Everything is getting expensive, even for BMWs. So we'll see. As I said, the plan is to start working on the Z4. This one, nothing much to do with it. It's running, it's driving, it's drinking oil like crazy, which I guess it's the CCD thingy that I want to replace, and I want to do the pilot mode, which is basically if you have an E46, E39 with 3-liter engine and 2.5, I think, they kind of like suffer from weak oil rings and, well, piston rings, oil control piston rings, I think is what they called. But basically, if you can increase the vacuum in the engine, it should kind of like make those rings work better and reduce your oil consumption. Never done it. I know that some people put oil catch can. I don't want to do this because it creates a lot of vacuum and it can blow your seals and gaskets and whatnot. So the pilot mode is basically just adding one vacuum line to that CCV thingy. And in theory, it should fix our oil consumption problem. But right now, it's going through oil like there is no tomorrow. My RX-8 drank less oil than this car. Which feels like, oh yeah, rotaries. Yeah, rotaries are fine, guys. Honestly. But yeah, it's the only thing that I need to fix. I need to adjust the hardtop. I don't remember if I made a video about the hardtop, but hardtop is sitting fine. It's original, but I think it's not snug. That thing, that corner is a bit higher than this one, and it makes really weird buzzing sound. I think it's something like electrical because it's got the heated elements in the rear window. But yeah, they're small little things that, well, little things that I need to address, and then the big thing is to put the welded diff in. Ideally, I want to drop the subframe, reinforce the subframe mounting points. Again, a notorious fail point on E46s. And yeah, just kind of drive it and take it to the drift day, start learning how to drift, and keep building this car as a sort of nice-ish weekend car. I don't know if I'm gonna drift it. We'll see how it feels. I've never driven it, that's the problem. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. So before I start putting lots of money into this platform, I just want to make sure that I like it, not just how it looks. That was my problem with the Lexus. I loved how IS200, still love how IS200 Alt as it looks, but how it drives, not so much. It handles fine. I think it handles better than E46, subjective, but the engine is just blah. Anyways, it's 20 minutes of me rambling. Thanks for watching. Wish you a happy new year, and I'll see you all next time. So take care, guys. See you.